Hey guys, how's it going? Dog walking time, and I want to use this time to quickly discuss the movie Parkland. Have you guys watched that movie? It's about John F. Kennedy's assassination. It's narrated from the hospital standpoint of view, because as soon as he was shot, they end up bringing the critically injured president to the nearest hospital, which is a residency training hospital. So there were only baby doctors over there who are in training, and they have to handle this high-profile shooting. Can you believe that? Oh my God. So Zac Efron plays the role of the resident. And do you guys know the fact that happened that day? See, it happened on November 22nd, 1963. That was a fateful day. John F. Kennedy, he arrives in Dallas. And from what I understand, he actually flew a short plane from Fort Worth to Dallas. That is just about 20 miles. So I think he just flew the short distance. Anyway, he lands there in Dallas, and then he's in a motorcade going in an open car in Dallas downtown, and then he gets shot, and nobody knows who the shooter is. The president's critically injured, and then they take him to the nearest hospital, which is just a residency training hospital. And then the residents are trying to save him, and he codes multiple times in the emergency room, and then he eventually dies at 1 p.m. that day. And then what happens is they find a man who is just in that area where the shooting happened, and he's trying to really just run around. And then an officer tries to interrogate him. That's Officer Tippett, and then he shoots the officer. So then they arrest him for the shooting of the officer. And that was Lee Oswald. And they ask him if he's the one who shot President Kennedy. And then he says no. So he denies the allegation. And then they put him in the jail for a couple of days. And then on November 24th, they try to take him to the Dallas courthouse for arraignment. Then what happens is another guy, Jack Ruby, he ends up shooting Lee Oswald. While he has not even admitted the guilt for the killing, now Lee Oswald himself is shot and critically injured, and they bring him to the same hospital just 2 days later. So the residents at that hospital, they go through this extreme trauma of handling John F. Kennedy, and then they eventually lose him. And now 2 days later, Lee Oswald is also brought in a critically injured condition, and he also codes multiple times in the same emergency room, and then he dies too. And he has not even confessed to the killing yet. Can you really believe this? Man, the movie was very interesting. It was told in a very different perspective. It's got some great cast. Zac Efron from High School Musical is the resident, and then the police chief who is running all this investigation, that's Billy Bob Thornton. And I just love him from the movie A Simple Plan. And he's Oscar winner, by the way. And then Paul Giamatti, he plays the role of a photographer. In fact, that was a real thing, because there's a photographer who captures this whole shooting incident inadvertently in his camcorder. So that's Paul Giamatti. And then Ron Livingston, I love him too, from the movie Office Space, and he also plays a role. So it's a very interesting movie, and if you have not watched it yet, go ahead and watch it. I learned a lot about JFK assassination from that movie. Talk to you later, guys. Goodbye.